Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to a very special edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. And today I am going to be taking a look at the very impressive catalogue from one of my favourite guitar players of all time, the one and only guitarist, bandleader and composer Chuck Loeb, who we sadly lost on July 31st, 2017 after a 10-year battle with cancer. And when I heard the news that Chuck Loeb had passed away, because I wasn't actually in the UK at the time, I was actually away on holiday, I was very upset and deeply saddened because I actually got to meet Chuck Loeb a bunch of times over the years and even got a picture of him as well. And he was super nice, one of the coolest dudes that I've ever met, and he was just a real down-to-earth human being and a great person. And to hear the news that he is no longer with us really saddened me a lot. And the first time that I became aware of Chuck Loeb, I was recommended to him by my dad, who gave me a copy of his album. And he said to me that, "I think you'd like Chuck Loeb. He's been around for a long time. He's made some great music and some tremendous albums, and I think you'd like his music." And he was right. From the first opening notes that I heard, I was instantly hooked, and I became a hardcore fan of Chuck Loeb straight after. And I've seen him live a bunch of times over the years, twice as a solo act, once as a co-headliner with saxophonist Steve Cole, and 3 times with smooth jazz supergroup Fourplay. And the first time that Chuck Loeb burst onto the scene was in 1979 as a member of Stan Getz's band, and he's collaborated and played with just about everyone, from Chico Hamilton to Ray Barretto to Hubert Laws to Metro to the Jazz Soul Funk Band with Jeff Lorber and Everett Harp, special effects, Chieli Minucci, Eric Marinful, Keiko Matsui, Andy Laverne, you name it. Chuck Loeb has played with just about everyone. Will Lee's Family, Nelson Rangel, Steps Ahead, Bob James, Eddie Daniels, the Fantasy Band, you name it. Chuck Loeb has played with them all. And of course, he replaced Larry Colton in the smooth jazz supergroup Fourplay, and he's played with just about everyone. So for today's special edition, we are going to be taking a look at the long catalogue of Chuck Loeb, which is a total of 18 recordings. And as always, I am going to be talking about each album individually, and I'll be choosing which one I think is the best one. And to me, there is no bad album in this catalogue. They're all good, they're all well recorded. Some are a little bit better than others, but at the same time, there is no weak album in Chuck Loeb's catalogue whatsoever. They're all different, and to me, they're just excellent. So we're going to start with the first album, which was released in 1989. And this album was very hard to find, and it still is to this day. And I spent a lot of years trying to find it, but in the end, I managed to find a copy of it. And this is Chuck Loeb's debut recording, My Shining Hour, which features Makoto Ozone on piano and keyboards, the legendary rhythm section of the Chick Corea Electric Band / Acoustic Band, John Patitucci on bass and Dave Weckl on drums, and we've also got Pat Rebilot on piano and Carmen Custer on vocals. And this is a good debut recording. Very different to what Chuck Loeb would sound like years later, but it's still a great album. So we've got The Chant, which would end up on a Eddie Daniels recording the following year called Nepenthe. We've got Assi Sierra, the title track My Shining Hour, If I Were a Bell, Maxine, Let All Notes Ring, Tardy, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Brunette, and My Funny Valentine. So there's a mixture of originals and standards, but it's a good album. So it was a really good album. A little bit more laid back to what Chuck Loeb would sound like years later, but still a good album, I think. So standout tracks for me are The Chant, Let All Notes Ring, Brunette, and My Funny Valentine. It's a good album. Not one that I go back to often, but I did listen to it a couple of times before, and it's really good. So there you have it, the debut recording, My Shining Hour. Good album. So the next album would be released in 1990, and this is a co-led project, and this is Chuck Loeb and Andy Laverne, Magic Fingers. Again, another album that was very hard to find, but it's still a good album, and as I said, it's very different to what Chuck Loeb would sound like years later. So we've got Chuck Loeb on guitars, Andy Laverne on piano, Will Lee on bass, Dave Weckl on drums, and we've also got featured guest appearances from Cliff Carter, Steve Fulton, Ligia Barotto, and Carmen Custer on vocals. So it's a really good, nice album this is. There they are. There we are. So this album was actually released on DMP Records, and it's a good album, but it's a very hard one to find. A lot of the earlier albums weren't that easy to find. This is very much a Chuck Loeb album, but this is more of a co-led project. So we've got Book and Beads, Circadian Rhythm, Groovin', Far, Sunos, 23rd and 15th, The Mission, Europa, the title track, Magic Fingers, Maybe, and Chapa Chapqua. It's a good album. It's a good fun album. Bit laid back, but a good album nonetheless. So there you have it, Magic Fingers. So the standout tracks for me are Book and Beads, the title track, Magic Fingers, Maybe, 23rd and 15th, The Mission, and Europa. But it's a really good album this is, and if you can find it, highly recommended. It's very hard to find, but it's worth finding, I think, and it's worth listening to. So there you have it, Chuck Loeb and Andy Laverne, Magic Fingers. So we would come to the next album that was released in that same year, in 1990, and this is Life Colours. So we've got Chuck Loeb, Will Lee, Jim Beard, Zach Danziger, Bill Evans, Sammy Figueroa, Carmen Custer on vocals, and a guest appearance from the legendary Michael Brecker. It's a good album, very jazzy kind of recording, but some great playing, and Chuck Loeb and Michael Brecker just sound absolutely tremendous together, and the same with Bill Evans as well. He's an amazing sax player too. So we've got 7th Avenue South, John Leslie for Wes Montgomery, Memento de Luz, Gravity, Springs, Blue, the title track, Life Colours, Crayons for Christina and Elizabeth, The Snow Song, Watercolours, and Kali U. So it's a really good album this is, and another hard album to find. Most of Chuck Loeb's earlier albums on DMP are not that easy to find, but they're good music. Some really good stuff here. So there you go. So standout tracks for me are Gravity, John Leslie for Wes Montgomery, 7th Avenue South, Springs, Blue, Life Colours, Crayons, and Snow Song. It's a good album. I kind of like the earlier DMP albums of Chuck Loeb. They're quite enjoyable. Some of them are a bit more jazzy, some of them do lean a little bit to the new age side of things, but they're good. Some good stuff there. So there you have it, Life Colours. One that I do go back to sometimes. It's a really good album. As I said, a little bit more laid back, but still great music nonetheless. So the next album would come out in 1991, and this is Balance. Another hard album to find from DMP Records, but still some great music nonetheless. So we've got John Working, Mark Johnson, Zach Danziger, Paul Socolo, Bob Mincer, Nelson Rangel, and Carmen Custer on vocals once again. Really good album, and Nelson Rangel would actually go on to be one of Chuck Loeb's most important collaborators, as Chuck Loeb actually produced some of Rangel's solo albums over the course of his career. So, as well as Chuck Loeb being a tremendous composer and guitar player, he was actually a very popular producer as well. So we've got N. El Rio, Daddy Longlegs, Starstream, Balance, Eternal Flame, The Day After Yesterday, Espionage, The Hello, Dear John, Straight A's, and Faith Alone. It's a good album this is. Daddy Longlegs. Sure it's not about me. There we are. So most of the compositions are written and composed by Chuck Loeb, with a couple of co-efforts as well. So the standout tracks for me are En El Rio, Daddy Long Legs, Balance, the title track, Eternal Flame, The Day After Yesterday, Espionage, Dear John, and Straight A's. Really good album, good fun album this is. So there you have it. Balance. Really good. As I said, a lot of the early DMP albums are quite enjoyable, I think. So we would come to the next album, and this came out in 1993, and this is Mediterranean. So Mediterranean features David Charles, Zachary Danziger, Clint D. Gainon, Bill Evans, Mitchell Foreman, Christina and Elizabeth Loeb, Paul Peabody, Wayne Pedswater, Nelson Rangel, and Carmen Custer on vocals once again. Really good album this is, and a little bit more electronica, a little bit more smooth jazz driven, because he's now starting to move away from more of the straight ahead jazzier approach that he had on his earlier albums, but it's still quite good. So it's quite a good album. Nice picture actually. So standout tracks for me are Mediterranean, Mr. Z, Heart, Discipline, Let It Be, In the Paint, Fast Star, and Memory Lane, and Autumn. Really good album. Another hard album to find, but worth finding and worth buying if you pick it up somewhere. So there you have it. Mediterranean, good fun album, and quite a rare recording, but still worth checking out, let's say. So we would come to the next album, and this was released in 1994, and this would actually be Chuck Loeb's final album for DMP, and this is Simple Things. So all-star band here, we've got David Charles on percussion, Peter Erskine from Weather Report and Steps Ahead, Russell Francie on piano from the Yellow Jackets, and Will Lee, who'd go on to be one of Chuck Loeb's main collaborators later on in his career. So an all-star band, and as you'd expect, great playing and great music from an all-star collection of musicians. So we've got One Man's View, Harbour Lights, This Life. We've got Sweet Simple Things, Gifts, Trial by Fire, the title track Simple Things. So this is kind of like a little mini suite. Channel Surfing, Shape of the Heart, Simple Faith, One Another. It's a really good album this is. Very good album. There you have it. Good stuff here. So standout tracks for me are One Man's View, This Life, Sweet Simple Things, Channel Surfing, Simple Faith, and One Another. But it's a good album. It's a really good album. So when Chuck Loeb left DMP Records, he was signed with Shinachi Records. He kind of made the shift from straight ahead jazz to more like smooth jazz, commercial kind of music. But they're all still good. So there you have it. Chuck Loeb, Simple Things, worth checking if you can find it. Another rare album. So we would come to the next album, and this came out in 1986, and this is his first recording for Shinachi Records, and this is The Music Inside. So got guest appearances from Michael Brecker, Eddie Daniels, Will Lee, Nelson Rangel, Andy Snitzer, and more. A really good album this is. Still more of a laid-back kind of recording, but still worth checking out. There's some great music here. So we've got the title track for Music Inside, Cruising South, La Siesta, Equal Time, Breathe Again, Steffi Strut, Shanghai, Bells, Never Too Much, and Monty Pile. Really good album this is. The albums continue to get better, I think. So there's all the tracks of who plays on what. So standout tracks for me are La Siesta, Breathe Again, Steffi Strut, Shanghai, Bells, Montpellier with Eddie Daniels, which is just absolutely gorgeous, and Cruising South. So it's a good fun album this is. And as I said, you got some of like all-star appearances from some of the all-time greats. So there you have it. The Music Inside. Great debut recording for Shinachi Records. Love this one. So we'd come to the next album, which would be released in 1998, and this features some guest appearances from Bob James, Nelson Rangel, Andy Snitzer, Will Lee, John Patitucci, and more. And this is The Moon, the Stars, and the Setting Sun. Yeah, really good album. This was actually quite a popular album. So there we go. Yeah, nice. So we've got Just Us Beneath the Light of the Moon, Hand in Hand, Don't Let Me Be Lonely Tonight, The Stars Above Us, Shine On, While We Speak of Love and the Setting Sun, and Water Runs Dry. So standout tracks for me are Just Us, Hand in Hand, The Stars Above Us, Shine On, While We Speak of Love and the Setting Sun. Good album. Very good album this is. So there you have it. The Moon, the Stars, and the Setting Sun. Good, strong album this is. There's no bad Chuck Loeb album, if I'm honest. They're all good. They all continue to get better, I think. And this album came out in '99, which was one of my favourites. And this is just simply called Listen. And you have to. A lot more smooth jazz, straight kind of music, because he's now starting to move towards more of a commercial sound. But it's a really good album, this is Listen. One of my favourite albums of Chuck Loeb. So we've got here, what tracks we've got here, we're going to have a quick look. Silent Star, High Five, Love Us All, Writes Down Broadway, Shh, title track Listen, Rock With You, a nice cover version of the Yellow Jackets, Geraldine, Buttercup, Shingonite, Blue Kiss, and Listened to the Sound. It's a really good album this is. So standout tracks for me are Listen, Rock With You, Geraldine, Buttercup, Blue Kiss, Listen to the Sound, and High Five. But it's a very good album this is. Listen, one of my favourite Chuck Loeb albums of his entire catalogue, and one that I still listen to this day. I would say the best track on the entire album is his version of the Yellow Jackets composition, Geraldine, which is a really good listen. And he basically just plays out the sax parts on his guitar. Really good album. And the best track on the entire recording, I think. So we would come to the next album. This came out in 2001. And this is called Inner Heartbeat. So we've got North, South, East and West, Mingling with Mike, Rhythm Ace / Funky Soul, Billy Song, Pocket Change, New Life, Vincent, Santa Cruz, On and On, Fire, Sway, Big Time, Soulmate, the title track, Inner Heartbeat, and The Goodbye. Another favourite album of mine. I like some of the later albums as well as the early DMP albums. They're really, really good. So standout tracks for me are North, South, East and Wes, Mingling with Mike, Billy Song, Pockets Change, Vincent, Santa Cruz, Sway, and Big Time. It's a really good album this is. There we go. Some sleeve notes. There we are. That's it. So yeah, some good tracks on here as well. So there you have it. Inner Heartbeat. Beautiful album. And Chuck Loeb's music just continues to get better and better. So we would come to the next album. This came out in 2002. And this is another favourite of mine. All There Is. So we've got As Is, Sierra Nevada, True or False, Golden Heart, Sorrow, Fundamentally Sound, In the Hands, Tenerife Blue, Bread and Butter, Love Is All There Is. It's a beautiful album this is. Another favourite of mine. So we've actually got Mike Pope on bass. He's featured quite heavy on this album, so he plays a big part. He mainly plays acoustic bass, He's a great bass player, and Will Lee's also featured on bass as well. So we've also got an appearance from Jeff Kashiwa from the Rippingtons, and we've got Andy Snitzer as well. It's a really good album, this is. So standout tracks for me are As Is, Golden Heart, Tenerife Blue, and Love Is All There Is, with Will Lee and Mike Pope playing together. So we've got two bass players. So one's playing the acoustic upright bass and the other one's playing electric bass. That's a really good album. This is another favourite of mine. So there you have it. All There Is, another one that I always go back to as well. So this is a really good one. Love this one. So we'll come to the next album. This came out in 2003, and this is another great one. Ebop. Very commercial, but at the same time, highly enjoyable. So we've got the title track, Ebop, Brainstorm, Back at the Bistro, Back Then, Bring It, Foolproof, New Wheels, Stained Glass, Smash, and Parallax. Another favourite album of mine, one that I still go back to and listen to quite a lot. So standout tracks for me are Brainstorm, Back at the Bistro, which features Chris Potter, another great sax player, Bring It, Parallax, Smash, and Foolproof. Excellent album. Another favourite of mine, one that I always go back to a lot. Love this one. So there you have it. Ebop. Great Chuck Loeb album. For me, this is one of Chuck Loeb's best, I would say. And this was a very big album. So there you have it. Ebop. Good stuff. So we would come to the next album. And this came out in 2005. And this is When I'm With You. Very funky album, but still very much in the commercial realm, but still a good album nonetheless. And this album's actually got a bonus hidden track. You have to listen to it right at the very end to get that hidden bonus track, but it's really good. So we've got Double Life, Tropical, Uppercut, The Girl from Ipanema, Brother Ray, Anytime, Anywhere, Jumpstart, the title track When I'm With You, Spanish Nights, and then some Home James. Good stuff. Excellent. So standout tracks for me are Tropical, Brother Ray, Anywhere, Anytime, When I'm With You, Spanish Nights, Home James. Really good album this is. Highly worth recommending. Another big one of his. So there you have it. When I'm With You. And as I said, you know, it's an album you can still find to this day, and it's a really good listen. And it's not actually featured on the track listing, but as I said, if you listen to it right at the very end, there's like this long pause, and you get like a bonus hidden track. But it's well worth listening to. So you just got to wait till the very end to hear it. So there you have it. When I'm With You, another good album from the man himself. So we would come to the next album. And this came out in 2007. This is Presence. Good album, bit more rockier, but still fun music nonetheless. So we've got tracks like Good to Go, Ricky Don't Lose That's Number, Window of the Soul, Starting Over, Liviami, Presence, the title track, the music Outside, Western Sky, Hanging With You, Mr. Martino, which is a tribute to the great Pat Martino, legendary guitarist, and Shed a Little Light. Good album. Forgot how good this one actually was. Here we are. There we go. So standout tracks for me are Mr. Martino, Mr. Martino, Shed a Little Light, Hanging With You, Presence, Music Outside, The Western Sky, and Window of the Soul, and Ricky Don't Lose That's Number. Another good strong album, and as I said, all of Chuck Loeb's albums are all great. There's no bad ones. I've yet to say which album is terrible, because there's no terrible ones in this magnificent catalogue of one of the best guitarists of all time. So there you have it, Chuck Loeb, Presence. Excellent recording. Now, this album came out in 2009, and this was the album my dad actually gave me, and I still listen to it quite a lot. And this is Between Two Worlds. So this features Brian Culbertson and Eric Marienthal, Will Lee, Till Bronner, Lizzie Loeb, Carmen Camusta, and Pat Berkison. Really good album this is. They're all good. You know, anytime you got Marienthal on your album, you know you're onto a winner. So there you have it. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different to other CDs, but yeah, there we go. Nice. So, standout tracks for me are Let's Go, Hiram, Mittens, the title track Between Two Worlds, Let's Play, The Great Hall, Mean Old Man, and 360. Lovely album. This is one of my favourite albums and the one that my dad gave me. This is probably the one I listen to the most, but it's good stuff here. So now we come to the next album, and this is a little bit different to his previous albums. This is more of an organ trio recording, and this is called Plain and Simple, which features Fourplay drummer Harvey Mason, who now by this point he's already joined Fourplay, and we've got Pat Bianchi on organ. So this came out in 2011, Plain and Simple. It's a very good album this is. So a quick look. It's a very different kind of recording, but still good stuff. And we got some guest appearances from Will Lee, Till Bronner, Eric Marienthal, Nathan Aitland, and David Charles, and Mauricio Zoratelli. Good stuff here. So standout tracks for me are D.I.G., Dig, Deep in a Groove, Red Suede Shoes, The Blues App, the title track Plain and Simple, You Got It, Skylark, Bebop Betty, Annie's Song, It's About You by Harvey Mason, and The Hello. Good stuff here. Very different kind of album to his previous recordings, but good listen to nonetheless. So here you have it. Plain and Simple. Great stuff here. So we would come to the next album, and this would be released in 2013, and I actually bought this at the concert after I got to see Chuck Loeb, and this is Silhouette. So we've got Silhouette, Silver Lining, Present Sense, Appreciation, JT, Lockdown, Stomping, Esther Tarde, The Lover, My One and Only Love, and Las Eras. Good album this is. So we've got Eric Marienthal, Mitchell Foreman, Andy Snitzer, Carmen Custer, Lizzie Loeb, and got David Mann, who plays all horns and arrangements. So main band here, we've got the Appreciation Band, Mitchell Foreman on piano, Nathan East on bass, Peter Erskine on drums, David Charles on percussion. And then we got the Family Band, Will Lee, Ollie Rockberger, Giulio Camasi from the Pat Metheny Unity Group on trumpet, and the legendary Steve Gadd on drums. And then we got another band here that is featured, the December 7th Trio with Andy Snitzer, Peter Bianchi, Wolfgang Hafner, and Andy Snitzer on sax. And then we got the Musigrama All-Stars, Moses P. Sanchez, Tono Miguel on bass, Yusvini Agula on percussion, Jose San Martin on drums, and we've got Carmen Custer and Lizzie Loeb and Christina Loeb on vocals. So it's an all-star lineup here. So the standout tracks for me are Silhouette, Silver Lining, Present Sense, Appreciation, Lockdown, Stomping, and Las Eras. Good stuff here. So it's a really good fun album, and another favourite Chuck Loeb album of mine. So there you have it, Silhouette. So we would come to the next album, and this would sadly turn out to be the final album of Chuck Loeb, as he would pass away the following year. And this came out in 2016, and this could very well be the best album he's ever made. He certainly got to go out on a real high here, and this is Unspoken. So we got Cotton Club, Natural Light, the title track Unspoken, Happy Hour, Affinity, Treetops, Cisse Puride, Way Up High, Cut and Run, Vorama, and Via Verde. Beautiful album, and you know, I was really looking forward to seeing him playing this live, but sadly that didn't happen. But nonetheless, good fun album. So there you have it. Beautiful sketch of Chuck Loeb. So standout tracks for me are Cut and Run, Vorama, Treetops, Affinity, Way Up High, Happy Hour, and Natural Light. It's a gorgeous album, and what a way to go out. As I said, this will sadly turn out to be the final album of Chuck Loeb, as he would pass away the following year on July 31st, 2017. But boy, he went out with a bang. Beautiful album. So the best album for me, it's a tough one. I like all of them. They're all different. They're all special in their own way. But if I had to choose, I would go with Listen. I like Unspoken, but I think this is probably the best Chuck Loeb album for me, and it's my all-time favourite and one that I go back to the most. And as I said, you know, anytime we've got a Yellow Jackets track, it's a winner for me. So there you have it. 18 recordings, and my favourite album of those 18 is Listen. So there you have it. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What's your favourite Chuck Loeb album? Is it Silhouette? Is it Listen? Is it Plain and Simple, Between Two Worlds? Or do you like the earlier DMP recordings? There's no right or wrong answer. You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. And I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. And all I want to say is a special thank you to Chuck Loeb for all of the great music you have given us over the years. And it was a real pleasure to get to meet you after all of the great shows that you performed here in London. You'll be sorely missed by me and just about everybody else, but your legacy lives on forever, and may you rest in peace.